mean, a long and fruitful career and association with John, and some fantastic hits, some great records, that sort of thing. But first off, what was it like working with John in the studio, creating songs and putting records together?
There was a lot of pressure on us because he had a lot of pressure on him. He'd already lost his record deal. And the first record that came out where he had a record deal, they changed his name from John Mellencamp, which is his family name or given name, to Johnny Cougar, and he was not happy with that. And when the record came out, it didn't do well. He lost his deal in 1 year. So when he finally got another deal, he was adamant about being successful. And we would rehearse from 11 in the morning till 5 at night, and then take a dinner break for 2 hours and work from 7 to 11, 5 days a week, like a
Wow.
business. And his whole thing, one day he walked in the studio after we'd had a big success with American Fool, a #1 and #2 hit single in the top 100 on the Billboard charts, those are the charts. When you're #1 on those charts, you're #1. There's a lot of charts, and people say, I've had 20 #1 hits. But the charts don't mean anything. This is where you're competing with the Rolling Stones, Elton John, the Police, Tom Petty, whoever is the greatest, and you're competing with the industry on all formats.
Yeah.
So if you're #1 on that top 100, you are literally #1 in the country, if not the world. So after that record, John came in one day and went, listen, you guys, I need ideas. I need hits. I need people to come up with innovative and creative ideas to make my songs become hits on the radio. Because the North Star, and I figured this out after I got fired after being in the band for 5 weeks from making that record, Nothing Matters and What If It Did. Suddenly I realized, oh my God, this is not about me at all. This is about me getting a song on the radio. What is my contribution to that song, to that artist? What can I do as a drummer and a person to get that song on the radio to be #1? That's Super Bowl mentality. Yeah. You're not thinking about you're thinking about the team, the song, the artist. It's not about me. That was a huge revelation for me. And that is what made me who I became. So, yeah, he was right. I need ideas to get these songs on the radio to have hits. And he said, Kenny, if somebody has a better drum beat than what you're playing, you play it. And everybody in this band, you don't own your instruments. We all play each other's instruments. Whatever it takes to get a #1 hit. And he walked out of the room, and I thought, what a jerk. But he was right. Emotionally, I was like, wait a minute, it's about me. He was right. He says, what do we as a group need to do to get on the radio and beat out Tom Petty and Billy Joel and Sting and the Police and Springsteen and Elton John? I mean, there's only 10 slots in the top 10. So to be #1, you're telling everybody, wow, you just blew everybody out. So he was right in that regard. So there was a lot of pressure all the time, whether it was in the studio or on stage, to be great. And we went from playing in front of 1,000 people to selling out arenas all around America, double nights, 2 nights in a row, Madison Square Garden, 2 nights, no opening act, just us, 360 degrees, flying around in private jets. But this didn't come this came from hard work, self-discipline, perseverance, and never taking your foot off the gas. We went 8 years nonstop, rehearse for, John would write the songs, and we'd have to come up with parts to make those songs great as a team. I mean, it always went to me first. Like, what do you got, Aronoff? After listening to a song once, and I'd be like, and he admitted they all sounded the same. Acoustic guitar, and I'd have to I came up with a method, how to come up with creative ideas. But it was a lot of pressure. And then, he would write songs, we'd arrange the songs, go in the studio, rehearse them, throw songs out, regroup, do it again. That would take a year. Mix, master. Then we do promotion and make videos, do interviews and stuff for about a month or so. Then rehearse for tour, then go on tour. That's 2 years. Take a month off and start again. We did that for 4 consecutive records, and we ended up playing in arenas. And we were set up to possibly go into stadiums, but John quit the music business for about 3 years. He said, I've had enough. He was fried.
Yeah.
And that was a real pivotal point for me, because when he quit, and it was at the last show of the Lonesome Jubilee tour, we just sold out a Summerfest. He says, he throws a bonus check at me back when they gave bonuses out, and he said, man, I'm quitting the music business for 3 years. Don't spend it in one place. I went, what? I was freaking out.
Yeah.
I'd just gotten divorced, and I had, expenses, and I went, wow, if that guy doesn't work, I don't work. I said, that'll never happen again. Well, I decided, all right, the next day I woke up and went, all right, he's not working, but I'm going to work with all the other people that are out there that are big. And I've started going to LA, and started doing sessions. And eventually I got in to the scene where I had drums in New York, Nashville, LA, Indiana, where I lived, Japan and Germany. And eventually people would fly me all over the world to make records. And I ended up playing on, the last I counted was 300 million records sold. I got some gold records here that Meatloaf up there, that sold 400 million records. And then there's a Celine Dion record right there that sold basically 400 million records. Labels making 85 cents on the dollar. You do the math. That's a lot of money they can reinvest in new artists. Well, that whole thing just completely went away. That's why I moved everything to LA, and you're in my studio, Uncommon Studios LA, because I have a thing called adapt or die. In any business, doesn't matter if you're on a basketball court or, playing sports, or on a rock and roll stage, or you're in a corporate boardroom meeting. You have to come up with creative and innovative ideas to come up with solutions to problems, as I did for Jack and Diane, that makes the company millions of dollars. And if you don't, you're going to lose your place. You're going to be not relevant, and that's why I say adapt or die.
Or die. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Just jumping back, you mentioned Jack and Diane there. We have to touch on that. I mean, an incredible song. It's not a normal song in any way. It starts, it stops. It's got different instrumentation. The claps are in there. It's a very strange, structured song. And you've got the drum machine on there as well. So take us through the process of putting that one together. And to begin with, how was your feelings about working with the drum machine? Was it your choice, or was it kind of something you were told that was going to happen?
It wasn't my choice. I walk into the room. It was the most difficult record I've ever made in my life, and that record won 2 Grammys and sold millions. We spent 9 weeks at Criteria Studios in Miami, and basically walked out with 4 songs. 2 guys got fired. I almost got in a fist fight with John because he was being a complete idiot to me. And I walk in one day, and the co-producers got a metal box, and I went, hey Don, what's that? And he goes, oh, this is the Bee Gees are using it next door. It's the newest thing. It's called the Lin 1 drum machine. I went, drum machine? Oh my God, that replaces drummers. And so that was a moment where I got into, I didn't realize it was like survival. It's not fight or flight. For me, it was fight or fight. I grabbed the machine, and this is an adapt or die situation.
Yeah.
Perfectly adapt or die. I grabbed the machine, grabbed the manual, and I go, I'm going to be a part of this new technology.
Yeah, own it. Yeah.
If I'd gone and sulked and been like, God, woe is me, I wouldn't have programmed that thing. Somebody else would have programmed. So I just want to be part of it. So I get the manual, and I basically program what I was playing on the drum set. But you have to remember, this is a new technology, a new sound. So, and In the Air Tonight with Phil Collins was already on the radio, and that was exactly drum machine and drums. So I program this, I give it back to them. It's got 8 outputs. The Lin 1 had 8 outputs. They could bring every fader up on the board, and they were mixing stuff. And I'm thinking in the lounge, I'm like, God, what's going on? Are the drummers being replaced by machines? Mm-hmm. Is that what's happening? Am I in the horse and buggy business? And the car showed up. It's like, and you're like, hey, guess what? Bye-bye, And 2 hours later, I get summoned into the control room. And John goes, hey, dude, we need a drum solo or a drum break right here after the second chorus. And I'm crapping in my pants. But I'd learned my lesson 2 years prior where I'd gotten fired. I kept going, save the song, save your career. Serve the song, serve the artist, serve the band, serve the producer, serve everybody. What can I do to get this song on the record? On the record, because this song was not on the record.
Oh.
Cool song, very unique. It's just a kind of acoustic song. Great words, lyrics. But we had to come up with a way to arrange it and present it that had relevance. So, I thank God we spent all day getting drum sounds, because back then they put drums in vocal booths. They could control the sound better. Now John wants the biggest sound in the world. We put it in a big room, but nobody knew where to put the mics. Obviously, the close mics, the overheads. But where do you put the room mics? And then what kind of chain of EQ and compression and effects do you do? It took all day to figure this out.
Wow.
Meanwhile, I'm thinking, come up with a drum part that's going to save the song. So now it's my moment. I'm crapping in my pants. The machine's going, goose, 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 bam, boosh, doosh, doo, bam, boosh, doosh, doo, kablam. Kick drum on the and of 3, flam on the snare drum on 4, and I stopped. And I looked in the control room to get some validation. And I had 9 guys going like this. So that's 18 thumbs. So, you know what my first thought was? I still got my job. That's what I thought. So then I thought, well, everybody goes down the drums. I'm going to go up the drums. So I was mimicking what the bass drum was doing, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, 4. And I hit a dead end. Those all, no, John asked me to come in. Cortisol levels go up, adrenaline goes up. I'm scared I'm going to be fired again. And I got half the people telling me what to do and half the people telling me not what to do. Suddenly a light went off in my head. I went, it's up to you, buddy. It's all on you to save your career. I walked out to the big room. I looked at the drums. I went, this is like the World Series. And you're up to bat. You hit a home run, you're the hero. You strike out, you're the loser. That's the way I looked at it. So I'm 40 feet away from my drum. I'm going, what are you going to play, Kenny? I'm 30 feet. I don't know. I'm like 20 feet. Dude, this is your career. 10 feet. I don't know what I'm going to play. I get to the drums. I put my headphones on. I'm looking at them, look at the drums, and all of a sudden, thank God, a light went off in my head. I went, look, I have no idea what to do different, so why don't you use what you've already been doing? And in a nutshell, I took that beat that I was playing, I went up the tom-toms, but instead of starting on 1, I moved the whole thing over 1/8 note. I don't know why I came up with that. Maybe it was from all the drum books I was working out of. But I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, And by the time I got there, John's hitting talkback, hit a cymbal. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, boom, blam, ba-doom, hit the cymbal. Now I'm at the top of it. I just said, I'm going to take what Phil Collins used. Ran out of drums, so I made a triplet. Bop, boom, boom, boom. Touchdown. Everybody loved it. Mick Ronson from David Bowie's band was in there watching us record. He's a friend of John's. He suggested that Kenny keep playing a beat and let everybody sing some sort of a cappella thing. So let it rock, so let it roll, let the Bible Belt come save my soul. So let it rock, so let it. It was this big anthem thing. So I didn't even hear that. John just said, come on, keep playing a beat. So I started by playing 16th notes on the hi-hat and going do ga do ga do ga. He goes, too much hi-hat. That was his way of talking, scream at you. Too much hi-hat. So I went, all right, mofo. And I didn't play any hi-hat. Said, play some hi-hat. So I had been listening to Steve Gadd playing on a Chick Corea album and a song called Lenora. And he was doing this thing we go doosh got doosh to boom doosh got doosh to boom, and he hit the floor tom on beat 4. That's where I came up. Steve Gadd playing with a jazz artist influenced me to come up with boom, ba-da-doom, boom, floor tom and snare drum. So when I played the hi-hat on 3E and it opened up. Boom, ba-da-boom, scum, boom, ba-ga-goom, scum, boom, ba-da-doom, ga-gum. Touchdown. I didn't even hear the end result till the song was done, mastered, and recorded. It was this mammoth thing. So I'm just grateful the song got on the record.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back then, they released the first single. Back then, what they do is they play all the songs on top 100 radio, and people call up and say, hey, I like that song. And people can call up and voice their opinion. And they start rating. People wanted Hurt So Good. They release Hurt So Good. Hurt So goes flying up the charts, hits number 2. For 6 weeks, we couldn't beat out Eye of the Tiger. But, you know, Rocky 1 was out. So the movie is selling the record's selling the movie. So there's no way we're going to beat out Eye of the Tiger. So they start seeing that Jack and Diane is testing so high. Everybody likes that song. They'll play it specifically in certain markets, maybe New York, Seattle, Boston, whatever. Tested so high, they release it as the second single as Jack and Diane goes down to 3 and 4. Release Jack and Diane now. We're like, really? That's your next single? Jack and Diane goes flying all the way, hits number 1. Hurt So Good goes back up. Now we got 2 songs in the top 10. We're all over MTV. Next thing you know, we're on Saturday Night Live. You know, all the TV shows, Solid Gold, Dick Clark, you name it, we're on it. SCTV up in Canada. John's career completely blows up. My career is launched. Who's that drummer? And the room I was in at Chateau Marmont Hotel on Sunset when I got fired 2 years ago, I was in that same room when that song went to number 1. Wow. And here's what I did. I celebrated for 2 seconds, and then I went, holy shit, I'm not number 1. I got to do it again. How am I going to do it again? He hasn't written a song yet. I got to wait for John to write a song, and then I got to come up with a great drum part to prove that I'm a great drummer. That was in my mind. It's like a running back in football. They get a touchdown, they're immediately like, I need to do this again to show people that I'm really good. It's not like a one-off deal. So I never bought that number 1 thing. I was grateful, but I was like, I got to do it again. What's next? What do I do? I need to practice. How can I get better? You know, I have a saying. It goes like this. I'll never be as great as I want to be, but I'm willing to spend my entire life trying to be as great as I can be. I mean, that's just like it's like a running back in football. They don't score touchdowns every time they get the ball. Sometimes they do. Sometimes 5 yards, sometimes 0, sometimes -2, sometimes fumble. Sometimes they break their leg in preseason and they're out. But they come back because they love football. I'm a running back in the music business. I just keep going in the end zone, Give me it again.
Workhorse.
Try again.
Yeah.
Try again. Workhorse. Go.
Yeah.
And that's how you build it. That's how you build a career.
Incredible stuff. It sounds like you're so driven as well, and it's such an environment for that. Because by the sounds of it, John was a bit of a taskmaster as well, and you're working and you're pushing yourselves, and between you and the group and John and everyone is really trying to bring out the best in everybody. And it just sounds like almost the best way to start a career, because from that point on, you can only go and keep developing and pushing yourself.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the thing is that you either get it or you don't.
Yes.
You know, some people would gone like, I'm out of here. And 2 guys did quit in the making of American Fool. After I've been in 2 years, they went, it's not worth it. Not me. I'm not saying it was enjoyable. I mean, it was enjoyable times, but it was tough. But I recognized this is incredible. Mm-hmm. I'll be playing with John real soon for a big event at the Indianapolis Stadium, the Colts Stadium, Indianapolis. I go up to him and hug him and say, I mean, I did the Kennedy Center Honors with him, and I've done Music Cares. I'm always grateful. Man, I learned so much by being around him and watching how he handled things. Yeah. Learned so much. I won't even list it. It was just incredible. Totally invaluable. At the time, I didn't realize everything I was learning. but I see it now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And also going through that type of experience, fighting to become great and being part of having a leader that didn't drink, didn't do drugs, totally clear-minded, you know, and just driven, everything from what you wear, the way we look on stage, the way we move, being very aware of the brand before we even knew what that word meant. And being around that was, like you said, was an incredible foundation to deal with all kinds of things from that point on. The easiest things and the hardest things.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be the person that depends on people to motivate you and to validate you. You want to validate yourself. You need to be honest with yourself, totally clear who you are. And I don't believe in the words mistakes or failures. We refuse to use those words anymore because they trigger all kinds of emotions. When you were a little kid, where your dad said you effed up, or your teacher said you're a loser, or your friends say you're a loser, your teacher said you got an F, that you need to work harder. Kenny, you're not doing a great job, right in front of the class. It triggers all those emotions that you will never get rid of. But you learn to replace them with the new thought process, which is like, when I do something that I didn't like, or I didn't wish I hadn't done, whether it's live or in the studio or wherever, you just say, focus, learn from this, adjust, adapt, and make it better. And every quote unquote thing that doesn't work out for you is a gift to help you get better. You think Tom Brady or Mahomes from Kansas City freak out when something goes wrong? They get disappointed for a second and they go, all right, what can I learn from that? I have 3 minutes to win the Super Bowl to get in the end zone. And Mahomes proved that last year in the Super Bowl with a busted up leg and playing against her intense defense.
Yeah.
He figured it out with his coach. So these are gifts that help you become the best that you can be. And that's my goal, is just to be the best I can be and get the most value out of this short little life I got.